Chapter 1. Georges-André Chevallez. What's this guy doing as a high school teacher? It was a late summer day in 1952 when I, in the company of about 20 other academic misfits from the German part of Switzerland, settled behind my flip-top desk of the École Supérieure de Commerce in Lausanne, the second largest city in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. We were there for more or less the same reason. We had mostly all failed to meet the minimum academic or behavioral standards of the high school system in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, for reasons that ranged from what is now fondly referred to as ADD or attention deficit disorder, then termed laziness or lack of focus, to insubordinate behavior, to outright lack of sufficient intelligence. The first two definitely applied to me. The common advice the distressed parents had received up north was, quote, "Look, your child is not going to make it in this system. Why not send him or her to the French part of the country? Standards are a little lower, the discipline is a bit more lax, you know, a bit more like what you'd expect from the French part of the country. Plus, your child will learn French." Unquote. The bell rang, and in strode Georges-André Chevallez, the man who was to be our principal teacher, provider of homeroom services, instructor in French, business correspondence, literature, French-Swiss history, business law, and pretty much everything except accounting, typing, math, and specialized subjects. Of short stature, he was nonetheless an imposing figure. His presence instantly dominated the classroom. He was the epitome of what the U.S. Marine Corps, which I would be joining a few years hence, called command presence, that indefinable quality that some people possess, an aura of confidence, of knowledge, of unquestionable authority. His face, with its chiseled features and piercing blue eyes, was straight out of Hollywood central casting for action hero. He actually bore more than a passing resemblance to Kirk Douglas. The class fell silent as he stood at attention behind his raised desk. Casting a long, cool gaze upon the assembled Swiss Germans, he finally said in French, "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to teaching you what you need to be taught. I'm good at it. I demand your attention at all times. I expect respect and will not tolerate talking in class, nor horseplay, nor sloppy work. Assignments will be completed on time and handed in neatly and legibly written. Tests will be both oral and written, announced and unannounced. I set the rules, and you just heard them. And one other thing. Out of respect for my position and my considerable education, you will rise when I enter the classroom and be seated when I sit. Any questions? Now is the time to ask. I see there are none, so let's get down to business." We were all a bit stunned. This was the kinder, gentler environment we had escaped to? Only later did we learn that Mr. Chevallez was, during school vacations, also serving as one of the youngest field-grade officers in the notoriously effective all-reserve Swiss Army. Mr. Chevallez's style was predictably demanding, and he most surely did not tolerate sloppy work. In language that was reminiscent of the legendary eloquence of Charles de Gaulle, a master practitioner of his tongue, Chevallez would, from his elevated pedestal, read and critique the compositions that had been handed in the day before. It was usually not a performance for the easily offended or the faint of heart. His monologues went something like this, quote, "Ah, and now another masterpiece from Monsieur Spealty, a notorious, often angry underperformer. I see from your congested facial color that you are prepared for another devastating appraisal, and I shall not disappoint. The rambling nature of your turgid diatribe is matched only by the jumbled grammar and syntax of your writing. Were you even dimly aware of the assigned subject, or is this just yet another of your usual polemic, anti-establishment rants? Were it not for my dedication to my students and my unfailing sense of professionalism, I would have cast this so-called work into the wastebasket, unread. My verdict? F."